Now then, Vinyl Monkey again. Welcome back, or welcome anyone who's new to this channel. And yeah, this is just a short video this week. Usually I'm up towards me 20 minutes, but I think this will be half of that, so there's a bonus for everyone. And yeah, I'm going to address this question: is everyone in the vinyl community mad? Well, I mean, that question, like lots of questions, you know, there's more to it than meets the eye. You've got to, you can really pick apart that question. What do we mean by community anyway? And what do we mean by madness? But I want to come back to that at the end of the video. But what I'm also going to use this 10 minutes for is to enter one of these vinyl community competitions which crop up regularly. This is one by a guy called Lloyd Boon, who's an Aussie, who's I think he's trying to re-establish his channel. And he's doing this competition to get his subscriptions up, which I think it's working. They look like they're going in the right direction. Lloyd Boon, he looks like a real serious music collector. He looks like he's got a real eclectic taste. Lots of poppy stuff as well. Lots of maybe the stuff that doesn't maybe get as much attention on the vinyl community. And that's the theme of his competition. It's this idea of underrated artists. So what he's asking people to do, and what I'm going to do, is first of all, he listed 9 artists that he thought were either underrated or didn't get enough attention that they warranted in the vinyl community on YouTube, and he listed 9 of those. Quite a mix, from Neil Sedaka to Carole King to who else was on it? Leo Sayer, different sort of real different bunch of artists that he felt were underrated. And he's asked us firstly to show just at least one album from any of those artists, and then secondly to identify an artist that I think is perhaps underrated. It does beg the question, what do we mean by underrated, you know, and you know, people not getting the recognition they deserve. I mean, it's a really difficult one. You know, you could be brutal sort of market type capitalist and say, well, you know, everybody gets what they deserve, the market determines it. But of course that would be daft. I mean, using my experience here in the northeast of England, loads and loads of great bands who've never ever broken through. Many of them have never ever gotten a recording contract, and nothing really to do with the quality of their songwriting or music necessarily. It's probably to do with geography and opportunity and all sorts of other things. But so underrated, yeah, it's a tricky sort of concept to probably get universal agreement on, but anyway, I'm waffling on. This is going to be a 20-minute video the way I'm waffling on. So here goes. Of the artists that Lloyd Boon mentioned, of those 9 artists he felt were underrated, the one I want to feature is Joan Armatrading. And Joan Armatrading, yeah, came over to Britain as a kid in the 50s, I guess, from the West Indies, and lived around Birmingham, in the Birmingham area, and really broke through in the early mid-70s and had some brilliant sort of mid-70s albums: Show Some Emotion, Me, Myself, I, those sorts of albums. And then sort of in the 80s, had this hit album, The Key, which I'll talk about in a minute, but seemed to disappear from view to a large extent. And it was, I don't know how many years ago now, I seen her on, I think it was on Jules Holland's programme. Absolutely brilliant, doing some of her new material, and it's just as strong as ever. And I haven't got any of her newer stuff. I think she's now self-producing it, self-publishing it. But what a talent, and it made me think, yeah, I'd like to get to see Joan Armatrading live if I do get the opportunity in the not too distant. But yeah, what a brilliant artist, brilliant songwriter, and this real sort of, I don't know, organic, earthy, beautiful singer. So as I say, this is a 1983 album, The Key, and this one doesn't get a lot of attention, I don't think, and there's probably good reason for it. It's certainly not to do with the quality of the songwriting. There's some brilliant songwriting here, not least the fantastic single, Drop the Pilot. Brilliant song. I Love It When You Call Me Names, I think that was a single as well. But some great tracks on here. But what it is, like with a lot of artists in the 80s, it's the production. I mean, this one's produced by Steve Lillywhite, who, experienced producer, knows his onions, I assume. But it's got that sort of 80s sort of feel. It feels like Joan Armatrading is in battle with the band. The synthesizer sound is bloody annoying. Adrian Ballou's lead guitar solos particularly annoying, screechy. It just sounds like the 1980s. And the only good thing I'd say is the bass is right up in the front. Tony Levin's bass. That's not a bad sound within that. But overall, Armatrading's undoubted talent and beautiful singing is just overwhelmed by some over-the-top 80s style production. But and that might have contributed to what I think is one of Britain's great singer-songwriters, who's perhaps not rated as highly as talent deserves, i.e. underrated. So, and then the band that I wanted to feature, who I think probably don't get enough attention and enough love, one of the great British institutions, up until a couple of years ago when their founder and lead singer Gary Brooker died, and I'm talking about Procol Harum, who I didn't really get into them at the time. Of course, everybody knew White a Shade of Pale. I mean, Procol Harum were formed in the 60s. Gary Brooker teamed up with lyricist Terry Reid, and they started writing songs, and then they put a band together around them. And their first thing they ever did was produce White a Shade of Pale, which was in the charts before they'd ever played a live gig. Their first live gig was in 1967, I think, opening for Jimi Hendrix. And 4 days after that gig, White a Shade of Pale was at the top of the charts. It stayed there for 6 weeks. It sold millions and millions of copies worldwide, and it's just become an absolute classic and standard. But Procol Harum never really went on, to I don't know whether they were. It's how do you follow that, I suppose, is part of the problem. But they continued playing right up until, say, Gary Brooker died a couple of years ago now, and produced some great albums. I mean, I haven't got them all, and I'm not going to talk about them in detail, because I think I might do I still look out for some of the Procol albums. In fact, I've just lost out on one on eBay. I wanted a bit too much for it. For their first album, I missed out on it. But this is, what's the date? 77's Something Magic. This is a lovely LP. Side 1, great stuff. 4 lovely tracks. Side 2, bloody awful, absolutely terrible. Some sort of whole side proggy thing. And I think one of the problems for Procol Harum, apart from having that huge hit before they'd even got off the starting blocks, really, was that they fell between a lot of stools. Was it psychedelic rock? Was it prog rock? Was it art rock? Was it symphonic classical rock? They sort of they weren't sort of in one necessarily camp or another. But Grand Hotel, a fine LP from 1973. Exotic Birds and Fruit with a great cover there. Some good tracks on this. One of the things about all the albums I've got is there are at least 2 or 3 lovely, great tracks on each one. But perhaps just about all of the albums lack the sort of consistency to be an all-time classic album. Maybe apart from the last one I'll show. I mean, this one, the critics panned this one, Procol's Ninth from 1975. I really like it. I I like most of the songs on this album. I think it's a really strong album. Pandora's Box, Fool's Gold, yeah, some really good stuff on there. And then they did flirt with orchestras and orchestration, probably more successfully than many bands. This is 1972's Procol Harum live with the Edmonton Symphony Orchestra. And the brilliant single Conquistador came from this live album. So yeah, superb stuff. And then this one, if they've got a classic album, this is maybe it. This is A Salty Dog from 1969. Was it their second or third album, I think. Really strong, really good stuff. So that's my underrated band, and we'll go out with a little bit of that. Of course, the classic single I'm talking about, White a Shade of Pale, doesn't appear on any of those albums that I've just talked about. But yeah, the question and the title of this week's session is: everyone in the VC mad? Well, I guess it's people in the VC who'll be watching this who'll, but I don't know, are you people best judged to answer that question? What is madness? I mean, it's a subjective thing, it's a sensitive thing, mental health's an important issue. But there is no doubt that collecting things, you know, there are over 1,000 LPs here behind me. There are 2,000 CDs on that other wall, or over 2,000 that you can't see. And there is no doubt that, you know, collecting is some sort of veering towards some sort of mental condition. I mean, Freudian psychologists say that it's they identify collecting things as some sort of attempt to impose some order on a complex world in which you feel that you lack any control or agency. So you collect things to try and falsely sort of impose some order and agency on it. But and I don't know, and I mean, I suppose that, you know, where is the line between collecting and hoarding? You know, hoarding is a serious mental disorder. I know people laugh about these Channel 5 documentaries, but it is a very serious, you know, some form of OCD, ADHD, whatever. So yeah, it's no doubt that collecting anything, including vinyl records, is, you're getting into that zone of sort of mental conditions, psychological conditions. But where I think it just absolutely says we must be mad, we must all be mad, is just look at my collection, which won't be anywhere near the biggest in the vinyl community. 3,000 plus records and CDs. Now, if I listened to records, properly listened, on a good week, I might be able to, you know, fit in life around it. I might be able to have time to fit 6 records in, 300 a year. If I wanted to listen to all the music I've got in this room, it would take me more than 10 years to sit and listen to it, which is absolutely madness. There are CDs over there which I haven't listened to probably for over 10 years. You know, sitting there clogging them. Will I ever listen to them again before I leave this planet? I don't know. So yeah, I mean, clearly you can judge who's the maddest in the VC. There are obviously some contenders out there, but we've all got to be a bit mad to be in this vinyl community. So anyway, that's my take on it. I realise I've talked a lot of bollocks this week. I thought I'd just go out with this one as we play it out. I'm going to take a couple of weeks break. I'm off for an operation this week, and I'm going to be out of action for a couple of weeks. So hopefully see you back before Christmas, and we'll finish with the brilliant Gary Brooker, R.I.P. I hope you can see that and hear it.
I was feeling kind of seasick. But the crowd called out.
This is him playing a gig in Denmark, I think. It's on YouTube with a an orchestra. Absolutely beautiful. Lovely voice, lovely voice.
As the ceiling flew away, when we called out for our train, the waves brought the train, and
Thanks for watching. See you next time. Ta-da.